on, people? It's your boy, Maya Crawl, host of Here for the Dads podcast. I'm back again with season 2 of episode 6. Or is it episode 6 of season 2? That's what it is. Yeah, but today we got a guest you guys have not yet met. But it's one of my very, very close friends. We've been very close for a very long time, but you've been very far away from me. But now you're here, just for a few days.
Few days this time.
Meet my boy Pete Frost. What's going on, baby?
Hey, so like Meyer said, Pete Frost. I mean, we were the homies-in-law, right?
Yes, the homies-in-law. I like that.
Homies-in-law. That's right. That's right. My wife Adriana knew his wife Tiana when they went to college, and that's how we got introduced.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all she wrote.
That was kind of wild. That was a whole moment we had. I think already I've known Adri for a long time. Like being in school, she was wife's best friend and like all that good stuff. So I was like, I already known her. I've had my battles with her too because she was like, "Don't date him. He's a football player. He ain't nothing. He probably got all these girls. Like, don't." I was like, "Oh God." But once all that the dust settled, right, and we got engaged and all that other stuff, she became one of my best friends.
Absolutely.
So first things, like when she says she's dating somebody seriously, I'm like, I start getting like a little overprotective. I was like, oh snap! Like, who's this dude? Oh, he in the military? Nah, dog. All this different stuff. Oh, he was on the point. Oh, nah, dog. He ain't cool, bro. The first day we met, Sodi, like the first night we had like an actual time to just hang out. I think they went out to dinner or something. We was chilling.
Yeah.
I rolled over like a dog, belly up and everything. We got drunk that night.
It was just instant. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just instant, and it was and it's been like that ever since then.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
And we've been now walking in lockstep from like getting a dog together, and now it's like having kids together.
What did Tiana say just last night? We've been trading off pregnancies.
Which makes it hard because you want to go drink it with your friends. You can't even go drink it with your friends because every time you get together, somebody can't drink. Now, the guys, we just got that's 9-month DDs. We good on that. But otherwise, the ladies, they can't do that as much. So when they get a chance, they make sure, we at least make sure they have some fun.
That's right.
But now, I mean, the people don't know, but you just had your second child, right?
I did. So firstborn was born August of 21. Coming up on 2 here,
baby girl,
in a month. That's right, yeah. Daddy's girl already. And we just had our son in June 5th. Yep.
I'm about to say you look. I don't know why it's so hard for us to remember dates. It's not easy, dog.
Well, she was August 6th, so I gotta. One day.
So what y'all gonna do for birthdays? Like, y'all gonna make them share birthdays the first couple of years or what?
So we don't plan to, but Adriana did. She mentioned doing events rather than doing like a birthday party where you're inviting the friends and all that stuff like that. Like the big birthdays, we do the birthday parties, like 1, 5, but the in between. So like for Ariel's second birthday, we're planning on going to Legoland.
Okay, the one here or the one out on the West Coast?
Here in PA.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a little bit of a drive from where we're at because we're like you said, we're still up in Rhode Island right now.
Yeah.
But we plan on doing that for her second birthday, primarily because we don't have a lot of people up in Rhode Island.
Yeah, I mean,
most of our people are in Virginia.
I only know like one person from up there. It's kind of hard to know people who actually live up there.
Right,
it's cold,
and like
bro.
A lot of, shoot.
I don't do that stuff.
Been there for too long. That's a fact.
Yeah, for sure.
But the people that are up there, in our profession, are constantly rolling through, and a lot of them don't bring their families. So even when we have people up there, if we try to have a birthday party for Ariel, it's pretty much just the family.
That's true.
So we're trying to get out and give her an experience rather than the party. With turning 2, she's only had one birthday party so far, so she doesn't have expectations.
Yeah, she don't got no expectations. Kids, man, they don't care. Like we talked about before, like they don't care about really the gifts. They'll care maybe that day and stuff like that. They just want to remember the moments. They'll see pictures, and that's what you want. You want to have the moments in the pictures. But this was the second time that I wasn't in the area, like while y'all had a child. Like
so when Ariel was born, we really had. Her family lives in Los Angeles. This was in San Diego. So Ariel was born in Balboa, at Balboa Medical Hospital, military hospital in San Diego. And her family, without traffic is 2.5 hours away. So they were able to come down, they could help out and everything like that. But my family's on the East Coast when that happened. Y'all were in...
They were in Guam.
I think you were in Guam already.
Might have just went to Guam.
Yeah. Yeah, because y'all came through. I think y'all came through on your way out,
Mm-hmm.
and she was so pregnant. So Ariel was born, and we didn't have a lot of family. We didn't have a network. It was COVID, so we hadn't developed a network in Cali.
Yeah.
Um, so that was, that was a strain. It was tough on us. And then the same thing in Rhode Island. We're up there, and like her mom
No
flew
way.
out from LA, which was phenomenal to have my mother-in-law there to help us with Ariel, with the house, and with getting him home safe and everything
Yeah.
like that. Um, but other than that, we haven't had, it's been family coming to visit us,
Yeah.
but we don't have, again, that like the village, right? It takes a village, but we didn't have that. We don't have that village up there with us.
Yeah. And I
So
think that's something that's extremely like significant to like the military family. Like military, it happens a lot. Either mom or dad may not. Well, mom has to be there for the pregnancy because
right.
they're the one's pregnant.
That's
But
right.
dad may not be there for the pregnancy. They could be on deployment. You could be living like all the way in Colorado and be from Ohio, like, or you can be from Tennessee or something like that.
And
You
like
can't expect for your family to be there.
exactly, even if mom and dad are both there, even if you're working 9 to 5s, in the military, you're both there. That doesn't mean family is there.
That's true.
And it's still a big stress. I mean, when we had Ariel, one kid, two of us, we're still kind of figuring it out, but we had both of us there, and it's only one kid, right?
Yeah.
With two, it's a whole different ball game, right? And then you start to get outnumbered.
Yeah.
So
You ain't got to tell me about
yeah.
getting outnumbered. That just happened fast. But no, that's the truth though. How do you feel
Not
like
as fast as it happened to me.
Yeah, that's true. It happened even faster than you though, for real. I went from 2 to 4. He went from 1 to 4.
Nope.
And then y'all got a dog too, so
Yeah.
that can't be easy.
Voluntarily?
Which one, the dog?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I had to have.
He's been trying to help me try to get a dog back.
I'm
Yeah.
still helping.
For y'all, both of y'all, what do y'all feel like the hardest transition is? Like, you feel like it would be from 1 to 2 or like from 1 to like 3? Is it either go from like 2 to multiple kids? I know what my thoughts on it are, but what do y'all think? Or what has the transition been like for both of y'all?
So for me, one of my biggest regrets before Ariel was born was I didn't read enough about everything. Right?
Anything or everything?
Both.
I got
Like,
you.
I picked up a book. Period.
And we'll
was
leave
about
that
it,
there.
right?
Yeah.
Like, we'll leave
I
it there.
got
But I wish I had read more. I wish I prepared more. So I kind of went into it, and I'm the youngest cousin. I'm the youngest sibling. Like, I have no experience with raising children. So it was trial by fire for me with Ariel. With my son, with Alejandro, it hasn't been because I have the experience from Ariel now. So it has been significantly easier. Adriana and I learned what a rhythm was, how we work together and how we can benefit each other through having a child. And we kind of just kept that ball rolling when he was born.
Yeah.
So it was definitely more of a transition from 0 to 1 than it has been from 1 to 2.
Hey man, I agree with it. What about you? Because you went from 1 to 4.
So, yeah, I mean, I think if it was like from 2 to 4, it would have been easier. But because when you have 2, you're already in that juggling mode.
Right. You know how to, know how to switch back and forth.
But we went from 1 to 4. I'm pretty sure you listened to the other podcast. I'm a foster dad, right? So it was a big transition. It was kind of like playing basketball, and they added a new part to the game where there's like 3 other basketballs on the court at the same time.
Oh, dog.
Right?
That's a good. I like
good
that. Yeah, I like that.
So, and you're the shooter, right? So, and everybody else is the point guard. So they're all looking to pass you the ball at the same time.
For me, I'm a football player, so as soon as you just say like, "Let's play basketball," I already lost. It don't even really matter how many balls on the court. I just remember being too fast for the basketball. I just like try to go on this fast break and completely forget my like track senses kick in, and I'll leave the ball behind me. I'm just like trying to dribble. So yeah, I can understand like having multiple balls, because when you have a child, like as soon as you get the first one, it's still a lot to learn. Like the biggest thing for me was going into a restaurant and understanding what the routine should look like. Because sometimes the waitresses don't have your back with it. We all know when you go in with a toddler or a baby to a restaurant, you don't sit the water right in front of the baby.
No.
When you bring the food out, you don't bring the hot plates to the baby because they will grab it first.
Immediately.
And then the other thing we talked about the other day is we already know as soon as you go to the restaurant, the first thing we're doing is getting the kids food. Like, I don't want anything. When they come and walk to you, I don't care if they're ready or not. If they say, hey, how can we help you? Would you like to start off with some orders? Yes, and a kid's pizza, French fries, and a high sweet. Put the cup on it, put the top on it, and I don't want no paper straw because they mouth be all wet and they be spitting and tearing them straws up.
Who thought about this new paper straw thing?
I don't know, bro. Happy Feet, maybe penguins. I don't know. Not me.
I mean, I went to a Starbucks. It wasn't in this area, and they gave me a paper straw, and like 3 minutes later, the thing was dissolving in my mouth, made my whole coffee experience whack.
Nah, dog.
That is something I don't miss about California or Rhode Island.
Oh, they both do the paper straw joint?
Everywhere.
I'd be snagging like extra plastic straws.
I think that was in New Jersey.
Or metal straws. I think you're supposed to get metal straws.
Yeah, Jersey's like 100% as well.
Yeah.
That's just, I feel like somebody had a bamboo straws and it felt like plastic, but I guess it was better recyclable. They need to switch to that because nobody, kids definitely not, especially if like they drink off of your drink and it's a paper straw. Like now I'm always thinking about their spit has literally dissolved into the paper of the straw.
Well, Ariel bites the straw. And if it's a paper straw, it's a wrap.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, plastic's a wrap too, but paper's just it starts to fold in on itself and everything else.
You can physically see the plastic straws. Yeah. Those get bad though. But you are in a big transition right now. Like you're in school in Rhode Island and you have basically signed on to be a department head. It's going to elongate your tour. Your goal is to go 20 years plus, correct? Oh, we'll see.
We're going to see.
We're going to see.
Yeah. So this, this next tour, I have a few other places I got to stop into before I finally get to the ship. But this next tour will take me to about 11 and a half years of service. Wow. And then, the Navy will be kind enough to grace me with a 9 to 5 for 3, 4, 5 years. After then, it's a tough decision because you can retire from active duty at 20 years, right? And I'll be at, if my math is right, anywhere between 14 and 17 years after when I would have to go back to sea. And the biggest decision factor for me is I know that on this next tour, this next 3-year length, I'm going to deploy again.
Yeah.
My daughter's 2 right now. And she will be somewhere in the, that range from 2 to 5 when I deploy again. And my son will be anywhere from, 1 to 3, right? And the impact on my children is what weighs heavily on my mind. And I know that children are resilient and that at this age, it is something that we can overcome because for the really formative years that I genuinely want to be there and teaching them life lessons and where, all of this understanding is happening, those are the years that I don't want to deploy during.
Yeah.
But if I do go back to sea after that, between that 14, 17, when I go back if I would go back to sea after that, then we're looking at them being in those formative years. And I know that I'll deploy again.
Yeah.
And that's anywhere from, and the thing that a lot of people don't talk about is that the deployment is not the only time you're spending out to sea, right?
Yes, and a lot of people don't know that.
Right.
I mean, not military,
So the Navy, you've got all these, certifications and things like that, and they all take you out to sea. And then there's home defense, national home defense that you are doing, which also take you out to sea unexpectedly, right? So you might head out for a couple weeks with a few days notice, right? And the deployment coupled with all of this other time out to sea ends up being a lot of time spent away from family.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you were talking about it yesterday, right? Like we signed up for the job to do this job so that others don't have to be away from their families. Mm-hmm. And I did sign up and I love what I do, right? But it is still very difficult to spend that time away from your family.
It's a huge sacrifice.
How could you guys possibly assist the upcoming father that might not be as, I want to say this properly, but I think people will know that I'm coming from a good place, but not as strong-willed as y'all are to be like. How would you prepare them for going months without seeing their kids? And maybe what are some things that you can possibly put in place? Because I have no idea, right? I'm not in the military, but what are some things that could be put in place? Could there be a schedule for FaceTime or a way to mail things that's memorable? Like I don't know. I think that's y'all get where
That's
I'm
good.
going
That's a
with
good question.
this.
So yeah, one of the things that has become more popular over the last couple years is you can make pillows, Build-A-Bears, things like that, and you can record your voice on these. So they push the paw print and it plays your
Awesome.
voice, right? So my nighttime routine with my daughter is to sing her basically Disney songs.
Okay.
Frozen, Moana.
You gonna sing for us?
I'm not.
I was like, I'm waiting,
Nope.
man.
Yeah,
Give me some.
that stays in the confines of my daughter's room. So, but you can record your voice. So that's one thing where it's like, oh, if they're missing dad, right? They can have his voice at least close by.
Yeah.
But I will also tell you that when you deploy in the surface Navy, when you get off, if you pull into a foreign port somewhere and you get off the ship, I can tell you, and I know Meyer knows what I'm thinking already. The first place that every single person goes is the local Starbucks.
Whatever
And it might
got
not
Wi-Fi, man.
It might not be a Starbucks, but whatever has Wi-Fi.
Whatever has Wi-Fi.
And you call home, right?
Okay.
And you FaceTime or you that's the first thing you do. But honestly, to prepare for that, the biggest thing you can do, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, but it takes a village, right? To raise your kids. And like, you need to be like open communication with your significant other is the biggest piece of it. Being on the same page with them as far as the morals, the values, what you're prioritizing, teaching your children, right? And knowing that they have a support system that steps outside the boundaries of the two of you when you aren't around, which was a big driving factor for us trying to get back to Virginia because Myra and Tiana are here.
Yeah, we're gonna hold it down, dog.
And I know that when I'm gone, she's got family here.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip the coin a little bit because a lot of times what happens is we talk about like keeping the family intact, keeping mom good to go and supported, and making sure the kids are good to go. But for dad, we already have so much on our shoulders, and that's the stress that we're keeping and thinking about is everybody okay at home? But I remember for me just laying in my rack with I didn't get the teddy bear with my child's voice or whatever, and I'm going through my camera roll like over and over, looking at the same pictures over and over again, and like almost in tears sometimes, like just thinking about, oh man, I wish I was there. I'm missing the first steps. I'm missing this. I'm missing that. What are some ways that you could prepare yourself, maybe mentally, as a father, to be away from your family for long periods of time?
So that's tough, right? My last deployment, I didn't have kids. I deployed. 4 months later, Adriana deployed. Different ship, different part of the world, right? Different communications, different time zones.
Yeah.
I remember we had been apart for probably close to 6 months at this point, and came back to the ship after Liberty in a foreign port, and I tried to call her ship. Because out to sea, you have some capability of doing that. Not a lot, obviously, but you have a little bit. So I tried to do that, and I tried for probably close to 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and I couldn't get through. And the only thing that I wanted to do, so it's very difficult. Sorry, I'm going to pause and go on a tangent real quick. I said everybody goes to the Wi-Fi spot and they call their family, right? I couldn't do that because my family was deployed. Right. Yeah. So we would all go to the Wi-Fi spot because we all have to be together when we leave the ship. So I'm sitting there with these people who are FaceTiming their wives, their kids, their parents, their significant others. And I'm playing solitaire on my phone.
Yeah. That could hurt.
So I got back to the ship, and all I wanted to do was talk to my wife, and I couldn't do it. And I, like you said, I'm like in tears, broke down. Very, it's difficult, right? It's really hard to prepare for that, as dad. Mail, I will say, mail is good. Mail is not
always
bad,
good,
right? Like you get, like the Navy is good about getting our mail to us most of the time, right? So getting that care package, with the drawing from your kid, I mean, it's just a boost of energy. That's all it is. That's another 2 weeks that you're like, you can
And I
rock
didn't
with
used to
that.
get it as like before being a father, like the little things that people will have with their kids, like the drawings. I'm like, that ain't no Picasso. What the, like, what am I gonna do with it? Like, it can't be that sentimental. And now, like, I remember just like in my first tour, not my first tour, but my first shore tour, I just had like one picture that Avery just kind of put together. It was like a yellow sheet of paper, and he just went ham.
It was a Picasso.
It was a Picasso. That's really what it is. I mean, he used all these different colors, but the kids don't know that black overpowers everything else. So he put the black paint like all over it, so I couldn't see anything else on the paper. But it was like, it made me feel strong when I put that on my desk. Like, it made me remember the reason why I was doing what I was doing. When I was away for certain parts of the time, like when I was having a hard time with my boss, like whatever it was, the kids really gave me like a new energy and a new strength that you didn't really know that you could even have or get.
I mean, it's a breath of fresh wind, right? Like like I said, it keeps you going for the next period of time, until you can get through that tunnel and get to the light at the end of the tunnel again, hopefully get another care package, or at least be able to talk to your family and everything like that. But to me, a lot of it comes back to that communication piece, right? Like, as long as you're communicating to people, hey, plan around this time, I'm probably going to be able to call you, kind of thing, sending them emails, stuff like that. Then you can set yourself up to get that renewed energy source from the family. But it is difficult. I won't discount that at all. There is really no easy way to say, hey, if you bring enough sunflower seeds on board, you're going to be prepared for it. Like there's just there's no easy answer for it. But the communication and the kind of planning ahead, putting the extra time in before a time away, a distance away like that.
And a lot of different professions do it, like spend time away.
Right.
Either if it's, fast, quick trips, flying, or if you're just living in a different part of the world. Like my boy Vad was playing professional ball and he just wasn't home for like a good 6 months. And you think about like he's looking up different ways that you could prepare the kids for you to be away.
Right.
But not a lot of ways that you could prepare yourself to be away. Right. Like how do you, and this is I guess a little bit more deeper than that, not how only do you like stay strong and make sure the kids still remember you and that you're being able to put those values in, but also staying smart about spending money when you go out, because you might be with some single guys who are really just trying to go and kick it. Let's say you're married, right? And they're going out and this other girl's trying to holler at you, and you might not be getting as much intimacy as you were getting before. So now you're thinking about doing things like cheating and stuff. Like, how do you stay strong during those times? It's a lot of stuff we don't talk about as much, and guys don't normally talk about it. So this is good to hear because those are things you have to think of before you go into it. You want to be a strong family man.
It's all about family first, man. Like that's what it comes out when you every time that you spend a night overnight in a foreign port and you're paying $300 for that hotel, that's $300 that aren't going to diapers.
Yep.
Right. And every time, you go out to the local pub because you want to experience the culture. Yep. I will tell you right now, the inside of a bar looks the same no matter what country you are in the world. All right. So if you are trying to experience the culture, that is not the place to do it.
That is not the place. Right? It's hard to say it, too, because that'd be the first place I would be about to go to. First is the Wi-Fi, and it's like, what else we going to do tonight? You haven't had a cold beer in a while, and that's what everybody else is going to be. So if you want some type of camaraderie or whatever, because of time difference, everybody else is gone. You're not going to be talking to your kids. You might have got lucky enough to say goodnight, sweetie, or a kiss or whatever, and go back. But we were talking about like a renewed energy. Yesterday you mentioned like, you don't know where the energy comes from after coming home from work or coming home from school.
Yeah.
It's like you take you a little couple minutes to decompress and then boom.
Yep. That was, I remember before kids, if you had a long day, and I'm talking about a long day at work, like you're just drained emotionally, physically. You get home, you don't have to do a lot. if you don't want to, right?
Yeah,
You got dishes in the sink, they can stay there.
they could
You know
wait.
what I mean? You gotta, you could take a nap. You could wake up at 9 p.m., order a pizza, eat a few slices, and go back
Yeah,
to sleep.
amen.
Um, and with a newborn, I will say, like we talked about last night, with a newborn, you know, you still have chores you have to do, right?
Yeah.
You gotta wash the bottles. You got to make sure the diapers are all stocked,
Mhm.
right? You got to make sure that the changing table is clean, all that stuff. Um, but there's not a lot of you don't necessarily have to do a lot of engagement or playing or physical activity, right?
Yeah,
But once they hit that toddler state, once they start moving, you have to have that energy.
absolutely.
And I don't know where it comes from. I still can't tell you. I have it, right?
Mhm.
I'll get home and I ask my wife, hey, 5 minutes, go change my clothes, kind of reset and get back out here. And sometimes I don't get that. And that's okay.
Yeah,
Because
it's
when
hard sometimes you
I
don't
tell
get it, but
hey,
it's
Ariel makes that decision for my wife sometimes,
kids
right?
do not care.
No.
They don't care how long your day has been,
Nope.
who told you what, that you even got in a fight. They don't care
Nope.
about none of that stuff. When I get home, it's here, daddy, talk on this phone. Hey, here, daddy, watch this. Like,
And you know what? You know what I think about? You know how people say, a dog is a part of your life, but you are their whole life,
mhm,
right? When you get home, you've already had this long day, this short day, whatever. You've been at work and experienced this other part of your life. But when you get home, their day with dad starts.
yeah,
And I think that was where I kind of started to pull from, where I was like, hey, this is her seeing me for the first time today.
mhm,
And I owe it to her to give her everything, that I have. So when I get home and it's, my day starts again. This is when my second day starts.
yeah,
But
And I
it's her
think,
first day with that.
yeah, and I think it's so vital, especially like even if I had a bad day or I just got off of a very strenuous conversation with a client on the phone. When you enter that door, leave it all outside,
yeah,
right? Like I even remembered, even when I used to manage like stores, I told people like, "Yo, once you walk into this building, check it at the door,"
yeah.
Yep.
right? And I learned that from my manager, but subconsciously he was preparing me for fatherhood, right?
Same thing applies,
Same thing.
you know?
And that's preparing other people too. Like that's preparing other people to learn how to, because you don't want to mix that stuff,
No.
right? There's so many different stressors that everybody has inside their home and outside their home.
Right.
So if you try bringing those stressors inside of your home and you bring it to your kids, you've already started off wrong. And not just your kids, we talk about spouses,
Right.
right? So like if
The whole foundation of the
the
house.
whole foundation of the house, organizations fail when there are uncommunicated expectations.
Yeah.
So if you come home every day and you don't ask for just those 4 or 5 minutes to be
Yep.
able to change clothes, to decompress, so you can be everything that you need to be for the kid,
Hmm.
everything that you need to be for mom. Like you need to be, if you want to be ready to be dad, right? You
Right.
need those moments. But if you never say, hey, babe, like I really just need this, or I'm gonna sit in the car for a couple more minutes, or
Hmm.
whatever. If you don't ever ask for it, and then a couple days go down the road, and you just blow up on it, like every time I come home, you always want me to do this. You hand me the baby, blah blah blah. Blah. You never communicated any of that to
Right.
her,
It's not
so
fair.
and it's not fair. And
Right.
sometimes you don't know you need it, but that's why we have avenues like this, like the podcast and like books that you
Right.
can
Right. Right.
prepare and hear about it, so that you can have those open, honest conversations with your spouse or whoever you might have had the child with, so you can be all you need to be for
And it,
them.
it has to be a conscious decision when you get home
Yeah.
to leave it at the door. You can tell yourself that that's the way I'm going to be, right? But when you get home, especially if you've been torn up the whole drive home or the whole train ride home, whatever it is, right? You're trying to unpack this problem that somebody just threw your way at work, or unpack the conversation you just got off the phone having, and you're still thinking about that. That threshold has to be that barrier for it. And you have to consciously make that threshold that barrier and say, okay, now I'm at the door. Pause for a second. Everything gets to stay right out here on the front step.
Mhm.
And I'm going to step inside and be dad. So even if I don't get that 5 minutes,
Yeah.
everything else is right out here.
So let's talk about like where is the avenue to like let some of that stuff out though? Like to talk about work. Like do you talk about it at all when you're home? Do you talk about the day? Like once you get a chance to decompress, like when do you get a chance to like really let that out if you did have a hard day or something like that?
So I was I'm lucky and unlucky that, my spouse and I were dual mill, right? Because as you know, it's a whole language that we speak,
Yeah.
right? It might as well be another language that we've learned. She speaks it, which is a good thing and a bad thing.
Yes, I got you now. I understand
Because I can talk to her about my day at work. But if she didn't understand the language, it would make it easier not to talk to, And then I would talk to the coworkers or, whoever else that did, understand. But like I said, unfortunately and fortunately, my wife speaks the language, so I'm able to go home and talk to her about those things. And typically, you leave it at the door, which I'm not perfect about by any stretch, right? But in the event that I've left it at the door and I've come in and I've been dad and everything else, normally you've had more time to reflect on whatever it is that's causing you the stressors and these things. And later on in the day, you've really personally, I've, mentally gotten to the root of the problem, and then you can present that to your spouse as a sounding board and say, hey, here's my perspective. Here's where they're coming from. What are your 2 cents on this situation?
Yeah.
And instead of it being a very emotional release where, I'm very stressed out about this, but you've kind of come to terms with it already. You've released, a lot of personally playing with my daughter.
Yeah.
Releases so much stress for me.
That's good.
Like, well, why am I worried about that?
Yeah.
Because I'm doing it for this. And if this is good, then I don't need to worry about
that. And they're happy, go
Mhm.
lucky, they're chill, they're relaxed. They don't even know about the day. And
that's the key.
That's the key. They don't even know. But I can say there has been times where I've had to let my son in a little bit. Now I know yours a little bit younger, but let's say you get home, right, and you did have those that day, and you've played with them, you've done all those different things, but now, I mean, we've all been overstimulated or like overwhelmed, where they are literally just like, you hear the loud tablet over here, you got Coco Melon screaming on the TV, and then a phone on the other side is playing Blippy, and he's doing his own thing. You got activities on the floor, somebody's over here trying to cook, and you're trying to talk to somebody. Like, you just get completely overstimulated without yelling or without screaming, hey, turn it off, turn this down, without making up a rule, say, okay, when we're at the table, nobody can sing, nobody can scream, nobody can play on the table, whatever it is. Like, there's ways that you have to be able to tune it down, because the kids will not catch the hint. Like, they will not get, like, today, mom right now is like sick, like right now.
Right.
And the kids don't get that. They want to jump on mom. They want to still ask her for this, mommy, whatever it is.
She's super mom.
She's super mom, right? They don't even think about anybody else being sick except for themselves.
Right.
So there are avenues sometimes we have to let them in a little bit and say, hey, I need you to bring your tone down just a little bit, and the reason why is, and then just give it to them, and then trust them to be able to work with that. Right. They're gonna get better at it.
And one of the best ways that we've used in our household is Adriana's much better about this than I am, but is the redirect. Okay, good. So Mickey Mouse Funhouse plays in my house nonstop.
24/7,
right?
yeah.
24/7, right? And I could sing that, but again, I'm not going to. So, but it is always on.
I was about to do it.
It's fun inside.
Yep, I started MICKEY MOUSE.
Y'all keep trying. I'm not going to sing. But no, it's on 24/7, right? And like, you got stretch breaks on that. They're yelling. They're playing with funny, like everything. So that can get loud.
Yeah.
And my son being a month old, when he gets hungry, there is no pause, right? When he's hungry, and he will tell you immediately.
Yeah.
In the typical newborn cry fashion. And we have a dog. We got a German Shepherd at the house. So, mailman comes up while all this is happening. Wrap.
Yeah.
It's a wrap.
That right there, those last two can like take you over the edge.
Right? Oh yeah, absolutely. So, the redirect, Ariel's room is down the hall away from where all that noise is happening at one time. And she has a phenomenal kitchen
there we go.
That you guys got for us.
Amen. There we go.
So I also have you to thank for how hard it was to put together. But
my beat.
Episode 1. please be mindful of the gifts that you buy our kids.
right.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
true. That's true. Well, I could
Hey.
have did it maybe more as a prank then.
Yeah,
I
well,
still-
so they owed us because we got them one of the ball pop rolly things.
Have you ever
so-
seen the ball pop rolly things? Like where the kids like walk with it looks like a little lawnmower and it just pops balls inside. And they,
It was disrespectful.
We literally go back and forth now.
Oh,
So we're
snap.
like, if we get a gift that's like that, it's on purpose. When it pulls up to the house and it's loud or something, you're like, oh, they got us good.
But you got it. It's kind of funny, right? Because I think the last one y'all got us that was like that was a a bag of wooden instruments.
Oh,
Yep.
got him.
A drum, a
Those are
recorder,
mm-hmm.
you know. But Ariel loves it.
They all do.
Right.
They love the bad stuff.
And she loves music. She loves all that stuff. So like, I'm here for it. Right.
Yeah.
And the kitchen is phenomenal, and it was a bear to put together, but it is so worth it because she absolutely adores it.
That's good.
But back to the redirect after I redirected.
My bad.
She take her in there, right? Remove her from that situation. You don't have to, yell at anybody. And there's times where she'll start to get loud because she's singing along or she's screaming for whatever reason, not because she's hurt or anything like that, just because she's a toddler. And that's what they do. And you remove one of the pieces of the equation, right? And that's or remove, help your wife grab the bottle, start warming the bottle, right? You do something like that, then there doesn't have to be any discipline, because when you get down to the root of it, of why am I at the brink about to yell or about to create a rule? Is it because it was an unsafe situation? Is it because it's violating the morals that I want my kids to learn and to grow with? Or is it because I'm annoyed right now? Right? And if it's because you're annoyed, just remove a piece of the equation and get that annoyance level down personally. Be the adult in the situation. And then you don't have to, regret saying, no singing at the table, 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Because you missed the singing at the table, but you were annoyed and now you have to stand by it.
Yeah. Or you can't have this type of toy anymore, or you gotta put this away and all that other stuff. It's more of like taking a lazy way out, to be honest.
Exactly.
You don't see it at the moment, but you're really taking a lazy way out.
Can I add something to that before y'all go somewhere else with it? By the way, slide that bag further down to the end. It should help with the
smooth.
Yeah, there we go.
But us like telling them not to sing and stuff like that, which I've done before, but I heard somebody say this today actually on Instagram. We're gonna kill their character if we're addressing what they're doing, if it's not really them doing something wrong.
Wow, yeah.
Right? So that stuck with me, and the fact that you just brought that up, we're gonna, because then in their mind they're gonna associate them singing to making you angry.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Right,
Sonny, that is good. Because you think about too, kids will go in the cabinet, take all the bowls out. You know what I mean? They'll get the banging
real,
on
bro.
them.
Too real.
Open and slamming the cabinets. Azai's got this thing where he wants to make everything an activity. He's got the rubber gloves he's filling up with water and tying them up. And like you said, if it makes you mad, now he's got water all over the table. Or now he's got, you're tripping over a bowl or something like that. You make a rule, nobody do this anymore. You can't take this out anymore. You can't fill this up anymore. Now they associate it with you being mad and you kill their character. And now their science projects, they stop to like science now. Now they don't like music as much as
Right.
You just blew my mind with that one.
No, I mean, I forgot what it was. If I run across it again, I'll send it to you. But that was key because, like you just said, the science project, you don't know what you're stopping them from evolving into.
Right.
Can you imagine them kicking the ball around the house? Man, you just miss your son, aka Pele.
Right.
Right.
Right. You have to redirect or find a new conduit for it.
Right.
Find a good space. Pay attention to your kids and what they're doing. If he's always, let's say he's like always jumping on everything. Like Avery jumps off of everything. we found a jump house, a trampoline jump zone. Maybe you get like an annual pass there. Maybe you
Yeah.
find like a little ninja obstacle course, and then
Mhm.
watch them thrive. Right,
Yeah.
like they love playing video games. Maybe you start working them into some tech stuff. Like that was one thing we were doing. At first, we started getting more worried about Azar playing video games so much and like being in love with that. And then Sony came over with his camera and sat down with them with the drone, and we watched him light up.
Really?
Like,
Best thing. Oh, we got to. I need to come over. You didn't give it to him yet, right?
no, I didn't give him the. He doesn't know he's got a new drone yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Wait
we
for
bought
me.
him a drone as well to work with Sony on
Oh.
some stuff. But and you also said like go to Disney, build a droid, and we did that. He had a blast. We have
Yeah.
watched Star Wars at the house like
Nonstop.
nonstop because he built his own droid, like he's into that.
And I'm
But
here for it.
and I'm about to say you put me on Star Wars. Like I'm still catching up,
Love
but you
it.
put
Love
me
it.
on.
Yep.
But yeah, finding a conduit for it, redirecting when they're having maybe quote unquote what people might say like behavioral issues. Or
Sure.
whatever.
But again, the biggest thing is, what is the basis for your frustration or your fear or your, why are you about to do that? Right.
Yeah.
And you got now, if it's obviously, if it's an immediate safety concern, okay.
Right.
Like,
Absolutely. You
wrap
stop
it
it
up,
right at
right?
the butt. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, I know you like flipping, but we're not flipping down the stairs.
Right. There are better places. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the other piece is then the communication after the fact, right? So if you do have to, if you have to yell, if you have to discipline, if you have to create that rule or use the dad voice, right? You give it a couple seconds for it to sink in, and then you sit down and say, "Hey, here's what's going on, right? Here's where I'm coming from. Here's a safe way to do what you're doing, or here's the right way to do what you were doing.
Yeah.
Or here's why we don't do what you were doing." And that's the biggest thing is I mean, you talked about yesterday, right? Don't insult your kids' intelligence.
Yeah.
You have to know that they understand what you're saying. And if they don't in that moment, in that period in their life, they will the more you have those conversations. And if they get used to you, okay, dad just used dad voice on me, but I know he's going to come talk to me now. And he's going to come talk to me, in this loving, very, very passionate way or compassionate way, that will, it'll make me feel brought back in,
Right.
and it'll make me feel like I know what's going on.
Yeah, and
like
it'll
I know
foster-
why he, said what he said.
Yeah, it'll foster like a good relationship between the two.
Absolutely.
So like shout out to RJ for that. Like he talked about like that intelligence that a kid really has, but sometimes we lack that intelligence to like
Right.
go communicate with them the way that we really
Right.
want to. But both of y'all are married and have kids. So I want to pivot just a little bit. It's more like a question thing. I don't see a lot of people talk about like how hard it is for spouses to be able to date or married spouses to be able to date while having kids. Like that, people always say like keep dating your wife, like even after you get married, like keep dating your wife. It sounds great. Like without kids, like it wasn't that hard. Like, we can keep doing that, learning each other.
Did Sam text you last night?
No, she didn't. No, she didn't. But I'm sure like y'all are having the same. I want to hear you guys' thoughts about, not saying that it shouldn't happen because we all want to continue dating, our wives and stuff. But like I can say like as a father and having kids, it gets a little bit harder. And I want to hear what you guys' challenges are with that. If you've been able to do it, like all that good stuff.
So I think for me right now, that's a hurdle that we're actually working on trying to climb over because our schedule is completely rattled. So right now, our kids are our foster kids, and now we're playing catch up. We're taking them to get all. I just found out that Asia hasn't been to the doctor since she was
baby,
like
Yeah,
8 months.
That's hard.
Like we're catching up on stuff, right? So that's that. We got Valerie, and then I'm doing a wedding, I'm doing a corporate event, all that stuff, right? But at the end of the day, there's a book that I read. I forgot what it was. It was by somebody in the military. I still don't want to make any excuses. So I still consider it a date. I think it's halfway getting close to us going out. But when all the kids are down, what I do is I order some food. That playroom that I built in the garage, open up the door. We watch our favorite show together.
Wow,
and we're eating food and we're just chilling, right? But it's not, it's hard,
Yeah.
right? You gotta find either babysitters are already expensive,
Woo!
so you want to do the babysitter fee times 4, or yeah, you got people that says, "Hey, we'll watch them," but in the back of your head, you know how your child acts when it's someone new
Mhm.
watching them. So it's like,
Yeah.
do I really want to do that? So it's like,
Well, it's also, if I may, at that,
yeah,
you have somebody watching your kids, right? And even if they're like, even if you're not paying them because they're a close family friend or anything like that, now your time is restricted.
Yeah.
If they have kids too, right? Because there's bedtime for kids, which
yeah,
means now your date night is from whenever you get home from work until whenever you got to put the kids down because they got to get home and put their kids down,
yep,
right? Which is, it's great to have play dates with other people's kids. They come over, everybody's together, and like, one couple gets to go to dinner or go catch a movie or whatever the case is. But really, you only got that 2 hour time
Yeah.
frame, and it all becomes an expense. Maybe not necessarily monetary,
Mm-hmm.
but it becomes an expense because now those family. I mean, say we put our families together. Say we dropped our kids off at your house and Adriana and I went on date night. Now you go from 4 to 6. I mean, you went from 2 to 4. You ready
Yeah.
to go from 4 to 6?
Is maybe a dad challenge or father challenge that you don't feel like we talk about enough as dads?
Man.
so many.
I know.
Um I mean, we've talked about the weight on our shoulders a lot, right?
Yeah.
Go deeper with that.
Yeah, so I was telling Meyer, a lot of people have seen these videos of, on social media of like the military homecoming, right? Dad's coming home, mom's coming home, whatever. They've been on deployment, or it's brother, sister who's at boot camp, whatever. They're getting home after a matter of months of being away. And, somebody's recording the family member, and you're seeing their reaction when they see this person unexpectedly for the first time, right? And I've seen a couple of those videos that stand out in my mind where, one specifically, they were recording this soldier's wife. They were at a restaurant. He came in and he was delivering their drinks, right? And he just came in as the waiter, and she wasn't anticipating him at all. She was just waiting on the drinks, right? And she didn't even, when he delivered the drink, she didn't even look at him. She was just continuing her conversation at the table, and somebody like kind of got her attention so that she could, say thank you, right? And she turned around and saw him, and just the wash of relief, the emotion, the overwhelming emotion that she went through. Like, it was a good thing she was sitting down because she would have been if she hadn't been, right? And I was watching a bunch of these videos, and this is the day I texted you, right? I was watching a bunch of these videos, and I thought to myself, this is almost a quantitative, representation of what we carry on our shoulders every day as dad, right? Just to see the amount of relief. The second video that sticks out in my head, it was the man's daughter was a cheerleader or something. They were doing something in the gym. The stands were full, everything else, and the announcer said, we want to welcome home this person. And she kind of said, what? And looked over to the door, and her dad was coming through the door, and she melted just on the ground. And it's that, like I said, it's almost quantitative how you can see the emotion that they like, dad's home.
Yeah. And it's not just like happy, right? Because I think a lot of those videos they can make anybody emotional.
Right.
And you think outside looking in that it's like, oh, they're just happy. But a lot
It's
of it
not
is
that.
too is like, now I don't have to be as strong.
How strong have I been
Right.
with them gone? But now they're back.
I don't have to be the sole provider. I don't have to take on these questions from the kids all by myself and put them down and do all these different things. Or maybe it's the kid who's now trying to be, man of the house or whatever. Like, that's stuff that we're
filling those
carrying
shoes
when we're there all the time. So when we get
the
back,
protector, the provider, the leader, right? All of those things. There's there is stress and there is responsibility associated with those things that you don't see. We don't talk about it.
Right.
I mean, we do. I mean, in the phrase "man up," which is
Yeah.
not, that's not a good thing anymore. The way it's perceived, but that's kind of the only time it's talked about, right? But that's what we carry all the time, and that's what's expected of us
Yeah.
to carry. We just kind of do it behind the scenes, but that's dad,
Yeah. That's it's a big deal. Like to have just dad, because dad can do so much, right?
Right.
And every dad is different, right? Like I know my dad, he wasn't like strong and like teaching me how to maybe like change the oil in a car or something like that. But the things he was strong at was like motivating me,
Mm-hmm.
like affirming me in different ways. He spoke differently, but like I realize now he was trying to affirm me a lot of times, like speaking into my future and what I could do and what I could be. And it sounds different coming from dad.
Right.
Like between mom and dad, like I know, especially like being a boy, growing up, you can be like the mama's boy or whatever. But once you hit a certain age, it's like it's all about whatever dad's saying. So it just makes it good. Like I don't know, to have dad there and to find something to replicate or duplicate or whatever from yourself. But I want to step back. We got a couple minutes before closing. I can't believe it went so fast. I feel like I say that every single time, but the time goes by so fast. Yep. Give me just a few pointers. Give me a few talking points to maybe some new dads who are looking for some strength right now, looking for some motivation to just keep going. Maybe they're in a dark place. Just give them a few words of encouragement if you can.
So the biggest thing, I mean, we've talked about this, not necessarily a word of encouragement in this vein, right? But the communication with your spouse, mutual respect, and then just knowing at the end of the day, it's all worth it, right? You can ask my wife. Don't, but you can. When my daughter was born, it took between 4 and 6 months before Adriana felt like I had a bond with her. And I don't deny that. Because like I had told you before, it was my first kid. I was like, oh, I know dad role, right? But dad doesn't have a big role when they're an infant, when they're a newborn, right? Your biggest role is around the house supporting your wife, who is creating that bond with them more than you are. You get to be about 3 weeks, a month old, and you start doing tummy time.
Yeah.
So they're laying there and you're laying there, but you're not throwing them around. You're not doing like dad stuff, right? So until my daughter was ready for me to start doing dad stuff, it was difficult for me to build that bond with her. And now she's almost 2, and I've been away from the house for 5 days, and it has been the longest 5 days of my life. I've been on 2 8+ month deployments, and they fell shorter than these 5 days.
Wow.
So if you're going through that rough time, right, or if you're a new dad and you don't know what to expect, every single minute is worth it. And there will come a time, even if you're struggling in those first few months and everything like that, there will come a time when you're like, this is dad time. This is what I looked forward to. You'll have that bond, and then you'll realize that you would do anything for those kids. And it is just, I can't, fingers crossed I'm going back home tomorrow, and I cannot wait.
Hey, man. Thanks for being here, man. We'll definitely do this again. Can't wait till you get back down here with the fam so I can meet the baby boy too, bro.
Oh, man.
Love you, man. You're the best dad in the world.
Hey, I'm just trying to be like you.
I'm out. Thank you for watching. You just listened to Here for the Dads podcast with Meyer Crawl. I am so grateful that you're here. But if you're new to this space, what I need you to do is slow down and subscribe, share, review, or rate. Whatever you can to help me out, because I'm on a journey to create a space for existing fathers and new fathers that's going to allow them to be a little bit more confident and a little bit more efficient at what they're doing. Thank you.